is that?
I hope he's not staying.
Yeah. I just got like throw up in my mouth.
It's a boy named Sue.
How do you do?
This guy's running all over town, calling himself an auctioneer, trying to steal my business, and now he shows up at my auction? I don't think so.
This is America. I can say whatever I want.
You can say what you want, absolutely, but you do not have to discredit me or put me down in any way.
So I'm out of here. I can't take too much more of this. I had enough of your psychics. Get your hands
We
off
gotta
me.
fight!
Get the out of here. Get out
What
of
do you
here.
take my head off for? I was trying to help. Be that way.
Behind the scenes of storage wars hides a shocking reality viewers were never supposed to witness. Explosive lawsuits, off-camera scandals, and moments so intense they blurred the line between TV drama and real-life consequences shook the cast and changed the show forever.
I was bidding over here.
Hey, auctioneer has the right to reopen the bid.
Don't listen to Dave. Dave will do anything to undermine me.
Learn how to catch a bid.
Some incidents sparked public outrage, while others vanished quietly, but all left a mark that fans never forget. Which shocking moments crossed the line, and how did they reshape the series? Join us as we uncover the Storage Wars secrets that should never have aired.
I know. Open your eyes. Open your eyes.
My eyes are open,
Open
Dave.
your eyes.
And if you don't like it, get the out. Really? Yeah. Ready? Really?
That's it. That's it.
Is that the way it works?
Assault on Air. In June 2015, things got out of control during a taping of Storage Wars in Palm Springs. What started as a normal auction turned into a shocking fight between Dave Hester and auctioneers Dan and Laura Dotson. The chaos was so bad that filming had to stop for the day. Here's what happened. During the auction, Dan Dotson allegedly missed a bid from Dave Hester. Dave spoke up and said his bid wasn't counted. That's when the argument began. According to witnesses, Dan yelled at Dave, and the situation quickly turned physical. Reports say Dave punched Dan in the face. Laura Dotson then jumped in to defend her husband. She reportedly leapt onto Dave's back to pull him away. In the struggle, she was thrown to the ground. After that, everything shut down. Production stopped immediately, but the damage had already been done. Dave later said Laura scratched him badly enough that he went to the hospital for a tetanus shot. The Dotsons, on the other hand, said they were left bruised and scratched after the fight. After the episode aired, fans flooded Reddit to debate it. Some insisted it was clearly staged. Others argued the reactions, especially the way Laura was thrown down, looked far too raw to be fake. Then came TMZ, claiming to have obtained candid phone footage from the aftermath. But the idea that it might have been fake didn't come out of nowhere. It wasn't just fans being dramatic. The doubts actually started from inside the show itself. At one point, someone connected to the show admitted that certain scenes had been staged. And that's what makes this even more interesting. Because if parts of the show were planned or recreated, then it forces fans to look back at some moments differently, including a few scenes that probably should never have made it to air.
Come on, get back over here, Dave. Pull your skirt down.
Dump.
Come at me with that dump one more time there.
Dump.
Slap you right in your face.
Do it.
You're not gonna tell me to shut my mouth. It's wide open, Dave.
Fucking mouth if you don't
What
know
are you
what you're
gonna do?
talking
You
about.
gonna shut it?
Do something,
You gonna
alright?
shut it for me or what?
You.
The Whistleblower. In December 2012, Storage Wars Maine cast member Dave Hester filed a lawsuit against A&E television networks and original productions that rocked reality television to its core. The lawsuit wasn't just about money or contract disputes. It was a comprehensive indictment of everything Storage Wars claimed to be, alleging that nearly every aspect of the show was staged, manipulated, or outright fabricated. Dave's complaint stated, "The truth, however, is that nearly every aspect of the series is faked." This wasn't speculation from an outside observer or bitter competitor. This came from one of the show's stars, someone with insider access to production practices that viewers never saw. Dave alleged that producers regularly salt or plant the storage lockers that are the subject of the auctions portrayed on the series with valuable or unusual items to create drama and suspense for the show. The lawsuit went far beyond general claims of staging. According to Dave Hester's specific allegations, defendants have even gone so far as to stage entire storage units and will enlist the cooperation of the owners of the storage facilities to stage entire units. This meant that storage facility owners were allegedly complicit in the deception, creating fake units specifically for television rather than auctioning off genuinely abandoned property. Dave's lawsuit also alleged that auction bidding scenes were often staged ahead of time and didn't happen during real auctions. While on location filming an auction, defendants also filmed footage of the cast members and the public bidding when no actual auction is taking place in order to make it appear that any of the cast members is bidding at any given auction, whether or not he or she is actually bidding on the unit. This meant producers could edit together bidding footage to create entirely fictional auction scenarios where cast members appeared to compete for units they never actually bid on.
You're an old man. Sit down before you get knocked down. Well, knock me down then. Knock me down, bitch. Take your glasses off so you can look at me in the eye. Knock me down, okay? Don't interrupt me when I'm working.
Whatever the I want.
Why don't you kick his ass?
Even more disturbing, the lawsuit alleged that A and E paid for storage units for cast members who couldn't afford the winning bid amount, in order to give the weaker cast members an advantage over the more experienced and successful bidders, such as Dave. This fundamentally undermined the show's premise of skilled buyers competing on equal footing. If producers bankrolled certain cast members, outcomes were predetermined rather than based on auction expertise or financial risk-taking. The lawsuit even claimed that production allegedly paid for one of the female cast members to have plastic surgery to increase the show's sex appeal, suggesting producers viewed cast members as manufactured products rather than real people pursuing their actual profession. Dave stated clearly, Hester was not comfortable participating in this charade. He believed that Original's salting and staging of the storage lockers was unfair, unethical, and possibly illegal conduct. His discomfort stemmed from more than just professional ethics. The lawsuit alleged A and E had committed a fraud on the public and its television audience in violation of the Communications Act of 1934, which makes it illegal for broadcasters to rig a contest of intellectual skill with the intent to deceive the viewing public. Prior to the lawsuit, A and E had publicly denied staging allegations. They claimed that the items uncovered in the storage units are the actual items featured on the show. Hester's lawsuit directly contradicted this public assurance, calling it a lie designed to deceive audiences who believed they were watching genuine auctions. What are some of the scenes that fans thought were real, but Dave revealed were staged?
Don't ever threaten me again.
Look at these guys.
You're like a little dark-ass motherfucker. Why do you get so freaky out, man?
Dan, it's all cool. He just wants to be like me. I think it's cute. I think it's cute.
Okay.
I think it's
Confused.
I think it's cute.
The scene that was manufactured for rating. Among the specific items Dave Hester's lawsuit claimed were planted in storage units were newspapers announcing Elvis Presley's death. This allegation represents one of Storage War's most ethically troubling practices, using culturally significant artifacts to create manufactured emotional moments that deceived audiences about the show's authenticity. The Elvis newspapers incident allegedly worked like this. Producers would obtain vintage newspapers announcing Elvis Presley's August 16, 1977 death, newspapers that are collectible but not extremely rare, and plant them in a storage unit before filming. A cast member would then discover the newspapers during the post-auction sorting process, express surprise and excitement, and have the papers appraised by an expert who would confirm their value and cultural significance. Viewers watching this unfold believed they were witnessing a genuine discovery, a magical moment where someone stumbled upon forgotten history while digging through abandoned property. The emotional resonance came from the authenticity. the idea that someone's treasured Elvis memorabilia had been lost to time, abandoned in a storage unit, and was now being rescued and restored to cultural value through the buyer's expertise and luck. But if Dave's allegations were true, the entire scene was theater. The newspapers weren't forgotten treasures, they were props strategically placed by producers who knew exactly what was in the unit before cameras started rolling. The buyer's surprise was performed rather than genuine. The expert appraisal served to validate a find that wasn't actually found. The entire sequence manipulated viewer emotions through staged authenticity. This practice violated the fundamental contract between reality television and its audience. Viewers accept that reality shows have some production influence, camera angles, editing choices, narrative structure imposed through post-production. What they don't expect is complete fabrication disguised as documentary footage. When Storage Wars showed cast members discovering Elvis's newspapers, the implicit claim was that this actually happened. If it didn't actually happen, if producers planted the newspapers, then the show crossed from reality television into fiction while pretending to remain documentary. The cultural significance of the Elvis newspapers made the alleged deception particularly shocking. Elvis Presley's death was a defining moment in American cultural history. Newspapers announcing his passing carry emotional weight beyond their monetary value. They represent collective grief, the end of an era, and shared cultural memory. Using that emotional resonance to manufacture fake television moments exploits not just viewers' trust, but their genuine feelings about cultural history. Dave's lawsuit stated that the show obtained memorabilia from off-the-wall antiques, which is regularly featured in the series. This allegation suggested a systematic process. Producers would contact antique dealers, acquire interesting items, plant them in storage units, then film cast members discovering them, and have those same dealers appraise them for the camera. The circularity is remarkable. Dealers sell items to producers who plant them for cast members to find and bring back to those dealers for appraisal, creating a closed loop of manufactured authenticity. The Elvis newspapers weren't just one planted item, according to Hester's lawsuit. They represented a pattern of production practices that fundamentally undermined Storage Wars' premise. Dave Hester alleged that producers began salting lockers during the first season, and that after he complained, producers stopped salting the storage units that he acquired, but continued salting the storage units acquired by other cast members. As a result of alleged interference and manipulation of the outcomes of the auctions shown on Storage Wars, Dave claimed that producers made it appear that he was less skillful than his competition. But if planted Elvis newspapers represented manufactured emotion, what about the most extreme alleged plant? An entire car buried in trash.
What is the most common misconception of you from the show that fans may have of you that you'd like to, that you want to tell them?
Well, I would say that, most people, when other people are out and people realize that they know me, they go, is Dave really such a big a-hole in real life? And no, I am not.
The BMW minicar, when staging becomes absurd. Dave Hester's lawsuit specifically alleged that producers planted a small BMW buried in a pile of trash in a storage unit, representing perhaps the most absurd and labor-intensive example of alleged staging in Storage Wars history. The logistics alone suggest either remarkable dedication to deception or an entirely false allegation. Either way, the claim revealed how far producers allegedly went to create dramatic television moments. Consider what burying a BMW minicar in trash would actually require. First, producers would need to acquire a small BMW, likely a BMW Isetta, the iconic 1950s microcar that became valuable collector's items. These vehicles aren't cheap. Even in rough condition, they sell for thousands of dollars. Second, they'd need to transport the car to a storage facility. Third, they'd need to fill a storage unit with enough trash to completely bury the vehicle while making it look like authentic accumulated junk rather than staged placement. Fourth, they'd need the storage facility owner's cooperation to rent the unit under false pretenses and allow filming. Fifth, they'd need to ensure the discovering cast member appeared genuinely surprised when uncovering a buried car. The complexity suggests either an elaborate production scheme or an exaggerated lawsuit claim. But the specificity of Hester's allegation, not just a car, but a small BMW buried specifically in trash, implies he witnessed this firsthand or heard detailed accounts from production staff. Why would Hester risk his credibility by inventing such an easily disprovable claim unless he believed it was true? If the buried BMW incident actually happened as Dave alleged, it represents reality television production at its most cynical. The entire premise of Storage Wars is spontaneous discovery. Buyers don't know what they're getting until they've won the auction and started sorting through contents. Finding a car buried in trash would be an incredible once-in-a-lifetime discovery that any buyer would remember forever. The shock, excitement, and disbelief would be genuine and compelling television. But if producers manufactured that moment by planting the car, they stole the genuine version of that experience from whatever cast member found it. Instead of authentic surprise and joy, viewers got to perform a discovery, an actor pretending to experience something they'd been told about in advance. The manipulation transformed what could have been real magic into fake theater. The buried BMW allegation also raises questions about expert appraisals featured on Storage Wars. When cast members find unusual items, they typically consult experts who provide valuations and historical context. If items were planted, were experts complicit? Did they know the items weren't actually found in storage units? Or were experts themselves deceived, providing genuine appraisals of planted items while believing the finds were authentic? Dave's lawsuit claimed producers would enlist the cooperation of the owners of the storage facilities to stage entire units, suggesting facility owners participated in the deception. This meant that people whose job was conducting legitimate auctions of abandoned property allegedly helped create fake units for television purposes. The complicity extended beyond production staff to include industry professionals who should have been protecting auction integrity. But was the staged content the worst thing audiences shouldn't have witnessed? Or did the show's most troubling scenes involve real violence that played out off-camera?
Come here, you. Hey.
What?
Say $5,000.
Why?
God, why not $1 million?
Well, you know what? Even if we can't sell them right away, we can use them.
The domestic misconduct that ended a partnership. On April 30th, 2021, Brandy Passante was hanging out with friends at a bar in Lake Forest, Orange County, when her ex-partner and Storage Wars co-star, Jared Schultz, arrived. What happened next represented one of reality television's darkest moments, a domestic violence incident between former on-screen partners whose bickering had entertained millions for over a decade. Law enforcement sources told TMZ that the exes got into a heated exchange and Brandy told Jared to leave. He did not, and at some point, Jared allegedly pushed Brandy twice while yelling at her and her group. Cops were called to the bar, but Jared had left by the time they showed up. A police report was taken, and a few days later, Jared talked to cops and denied ever putting hands on Brandy. The Orange County District Attorney's Office charged him with 1 count of misdemeanor domestic violence battery, rejecting Jared's version of events based on witness statements and evidence collected at the scene. The incident shocked fans who'd watched Brandy and Jared's relationship play out on television for 13 seasons. The couple appeared on Storage Wars starting with Season 1 and continued through Season 13. They were dubbed the Young Guns because they were the youngest auction bidders in the main cast. They also led the spin-off series Brandy and Jared, Married to the Job, which ran for 8 episodes, ending in 2014. But beneath the on-screen banter lay a troubling reality. During the season 13 premiere in April 2021, Brandy confirmed on camera for the first time that she and Jared split up 2 years ago. The couple actually called things off in November 2018 during the filming of season 12, keeping their breakup secret for years while continuing to appear together on the show.
I'll stay down here by these guys and you go stand down there. And we'll bid against each other. I'll throw them off. They won't know what's going on.
In June 2020, during an interview with the Dad Diary podcast, Brandy revealed she was basically a single mother and that Jared was an absent father. When host Danny Jordan asked how being a single mother affected her life, Brandy explained, "I did a lot of it on my own anyway, but it's the scary dad voice in the background that we're missing. I have them all the time. 24/7 they're here with me, so I have to navigate that." Regarding her children, Peyton and Cameron. A week after the April 30th incident, Brandy Passante shared a cryptic post on Instagram that read, "Longest week of my life. Good supportive friends are hard to come by. Cherish you always," and shared a selfie with her close friend. The post suggested Brandy was processing trauma and seeking support from people she trusted. In retrospect, Storage Wars aired years of scenes that took on disturbing new meaning after the domestic violence charge. Brandy Passante and Jared Schultz always had a bit of a tumultuous relationship on Storage Wars, with Brandy often criticizing Jared's decisions in regards to which storage units he planned to buy and whether those would actually be worth money. That dynamic has always been kind of their shtick. When season 13 returned in 2021, much of the banter between the two had him trying to buy units she was eyeing or had her being critical of his choices. At one point, during the season 13 premiere, she called him an idiot for spending money on one particular unit. What viewers interpreted as playful couples bickering now appeared potentially as televised emotional abuse, with Jared's controlling behavior and Brandy's defensive responses playing out for entertainment. The A&E network reportedly launched an investigation to determine the future of Jared Schultz on Storage Wars after he was charged with domestic violence. It was never revealed if the incident led to Jared leaving the show. The network never responded to the allegations, nor explained if he was fired or left the show on his own accord. What's certain is that Jared Schultz never returned to Storage Wars after season 13. Brandy remained on the show for seasons 14, 15, and 16, handling on-screen tension and rebuilding her identity as an independent buyer. The message was clear. A&E chose the victim over the alleged abuser, quietly cutting ties with Jared while supporting Brandy's continued success. In a later interview on the Spirit Talk YouTube show, Brandy addressed her split from Jared and her future. "I wasn't really allowed to have an identity for many, many years. And so these last couple of years, I'm kind of coming into my own and figuring out who I am." This statement suggested years of controlling behavior that fans never recognized while watching Storage Wars episodes, where Jared and Brandy's conflicts were edited for comedy rather than presented as warning signs of an unhealthy relationship. Which of these details shocked you the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.